We're about honoring those who seek to do what we're about at NFA. And at NFA, we're about serving. We're about servant leadership. It's what we've been about from the beginning. And it's our heart for you to understand through this exercise that we don't just want to honor young men that are doing it, we want to honor the coaches that take the time to be that person that we need them to be. Guys, it's a privilege for you to be here because every one of you, wherever you were, whatever camp you were doing, stood out to the coaches that were there. You made a statement that we want to be champions. And I want to talk to you for a few minutes about what a champion is like. What does it mean to be a champion? Every year I try to think about what am I going to say to these young men to inspire them for the duel. And it's difficult because bottom line is we all want to win. But I know in my heart when I think about the concept of being a champion that sometimes it doesn't involve what happens on the scoreboard. I know we call the person who wins the champion, but I tell you, I know a lot of people that have overcome a lot and there was no scoreboard involved. You know what I'm saying? They overcame a lot in their lives. So what is it about a champion that inspires us? What is it about being a champion that makes us who we are? And I want to talk to you about 4 things that I believe a champion does that separates them from everybody else. And I believe you can use these things today to help you be inspired about how you're going to compete. We realize you're here to compete. Boys, we talk about at the camps, we're here to develop and get better. Boys, to here, we're going to compete. We're going to let you get out there and show us what you came to show us because that's what this is about. And we're going to compete this fall. But I want you to be, regardless of what happens with your team, regardless of the outcome of your season, I want you to live and play and be like a champion. And I believe there's really 4 things that a champion in their life does that separates them from everyone else. And really it has to do with the concept of overcoming. Because championships are when a team, as a group, overcomes everyone else, all challengers. As a champion, an individual who overcomes, typically what you see is what they overcome to get to that point. And that's what I want to talk to you about. What does a champion overcome in their lives? You know, the first thing a champion has to overcome is their weakness. I think all of us recognize sometimes that we have weakness. Physical weakness, mental weakness, emotional weakness, spiritual weakness. We struggle with things in us that are weak. Our minds can tend to be weak. Our hearts can tend to be weak. And we get those things tested and it can prevent us from being successful. Guys, in order for us to overcome our weakness, we have to realize that we need to develop mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical toughness. Overcoming weakness involves the ability to be tough. Now, that doesn't mean just stand there and take a punch. It's really not about that. When an individual decides to be mentally tough, emotionally tough, physically tough, spiritually tough, that happens down inside a place where it's not in your emotions that occurs, it occurs in the will. You have to make a decision to be tough. Well, that decision has to come from somewhere. You can't just decide, okay, one day I'm going to be tough. When you get slobber knocked on a football field and knocked down, there's got to be a reason you pop up. Do you understand? All the toughness you're looking to develop can be found that is already wired into you. It simply has to be unlocked. The only toughness, the only way to overcome toughness and develop toughness to overcome weakness in my life comes from what I love. It comes from what I choose to love. Now, I say what? Because a lot of you guys choose to love this game. You choose to love your video games. You choose to love the things you get to do. You choose to love things that are not necessarily worthy of it. I know you love your families and your friends, but that isn't something that's ever tested that often. Other than that maybe we have a disagreement in our home or you have a little disagreement with your friends. The true test of your willingness to love isn't in overcoming little spats. It's in your willingness to serve and care for those on your team, be that in your home or on your football field. The willingness to love others is where your toughness finds maturity. Your willingness to choose to love others, to think about others rather than myself in that moment allows me to start overcoming where I'm weak. So if I'm weak mentally and I got to be tougher, I need to make sure I'm checking in with why I'm there. Why am I here today? Why am I here competing? Why am I here on this football team? Because I love this team. Why do I want to be a better dad? Because I love my family. Why do I want to be a better husband? Because I love my wife. So that weakness in me that wants to rise up and say, no, feel sorry for yourself. That part of me that wants to say, I don't want to go anymore. I remind myself who I love and why. Does that make sense? So when you're out there and it's getting hard, remind yourself that you're doing this for your teammates. You're doing this for someone other than you. And when you do that, you start to find your weakness kind of melting away. It doesn't mean you're not going to face difficulty. It doesn't mean you're not going to face that feeling of not being able to continue. It just means you're going to have another opportunity to choose to overcome it. Because unfortunately, guys, you're going to spend the rest of your life overcoming weakness. It's resident in all of us. Some of us have strengths. We all have weaknesses. But if I'm willing to discern who I'm doing what I'm doing for, because I love them, I will overcome that weakness. The second thing a champion must overcome is doubt. Doubt is a difficult thing because it basically means, in a lot of times when we're struggling with doubt, what it means is you feel like when you look in the mirror, you're not qualified for the opportunity you have. You're not sure you're going to have enough strength to make it. You're not sure you're going to have enough within you to do what's necessary. I can tell you that's a challenge that everybody faces. But champions find a way to overcome that doubt through work. You're going to have to work really, really hard to overcome your doubt. Why? Because doubt presents itself when we haven't done the work. Do you understand what I mean when I say that? If you're in a situation where you get knocked down by a pretty big guy, and he looks inside your eyes and he sees that you haven't done the work, you're going to doubt. But guys, if you have put yourself through difficulty, challenges, you've worked hard to get somewhere, and you're willing to do more work, you can overcome your doubt. Work is your way out of doubt. So you mean if I'm not sure of myself, what do I got to do? Do the next thing. Work a little harder doing the next thing. You can't stop when you doubt. You see, that's what happens when a person doubts. They stop and they start thinking. No, that's bad. Don't start thinking about what you can't do. Don't doubt. Do the next thing. What do we say that is when we're talking about that on a football field? What do you got to do? You got to move the chains, right? Yes, so when you're working and you're wanting to overcome doubt, you got to move the chains. You just got to get 10 more yards. We'll worry about the touchdown a little later. If I'm going to make it, we'll find that out later. But right now, that doubt needs to be overcome. What do I got to do? Get another first down. Say it. Get another first down. Say that. Get another first down. When you're discouraged and you're not sure and you're doubting, you got to get another first down. You got to work a little harder. Sometimes we allow ourselves to get into doubt mode because we took too long of a break. Maybe we stepped back from the challenge a little bit. Maybe we're not sure this is what we want anymore. Guys, your desires are going to change a lot. So in order to recognize how to overcome that, you got to keep moving the chains in your work ethic. Do you understand? Sure. I just got to keep doing the next thing. So when that doubt comes, find something to do that's productive to move the chains. You understand? Sure. The next thing that happens when someone's trying to overcome as a champion is they encounter fear. This is probably the biggest one, I think. I think fear is probably the thing that keeps most people from being successful. For some of you, it's in low-grade nervousness today. It's a low-grade anxiety. It's like, how am I going to do? I don't know, man. And that's what leads to the doubt, right? Fear is kind of the way into all of it. Fear leads you to weakness. Fear leads you to doubt. And it leads you to the next thing, too, which we haven't talked about. Fear is kind of the open door to all the things that are bad that occur. Fear is a very real challenge. As an athlete, when you encounter fear, that's not a good thing. Fear is the concern that you're not going to make it through the next step. And I got to tell you, I encounter fears from time to time. I do. All right? But what we have to be willing to do in that situation, what we have to be willing to understand about fear is that the only thing we have to fear is what? Fear. That's it. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know where it's going to come out. But here's the thing. You have to be willing. You have to be willing to let go of everything. You're going to have to go all in. You know, like you see on the poker table when the guy pushes the chips in. That's what fear is. Fear is when people have something to lose. A reputation, embarrassment. You don't want to look bad. You're going to have to push everything you are all into the middle. You're going to have to go all out. When fear comes, you're going to have to make a decision that you're willing to go all in. You cannot stop now. So what that means is you're going to have to run through it. You're going to have to hit through it. You have to throw through it. You're going to have to play through the fear. Courage is not the absence of fear, boys. It's the management of it. Everybody's afraid. Everybody gets nervous. Everybody's anxious. They have like thousands of words for fear in psychology. Everybody encounters fear. But really, fear only has a hold on you if you're holding on to something that you think is important for yourself. You're going to have to be willing to go all in for everybody around you. You're going to have to be willing to go all in your heart and let the outcome be what it's going to be. And really, that's a decision you make in your heart. I may end up looking bad. This may not work. But I'm not going to let fear keep me from giving my best effort. Do you understand? Sir. I'm going to run headlong into it, and no matter what happens, I'm going. So you're going to have to go what? All in. So really, you got to know who you love and why you're doing what you're doing. You got to move the chains. And you're going to have to push everything into the middle today. Everything you're afraid of, everything you're nervous about, everything you're anxious about, you can't control any of it. You know what? You might as well go out that way too, you know? I'm a firm believer that you can't control what happens in your life. But I can control how I respond to it, right? So I'm going to push all in. I'm going to go. And one of the ways you do that, guys, one of the most effective ways I've seen is if you're willing to serve those around you. A great way to overcome your fear is to serve people around you. Just get busy serving. Just get busy making yourself available to other people. Your teammates, your family. Wherever you are, how can I help? What can I do? Jump in. If you're the quarterback, start helping out the linemen. Start doing something else. Get your mind off of those things that cause you fear. Serve your way out of being afraid. Pretty soon you find out you got some help. You got people there that are with you. You're not alone. And you know what? When you're serving, you find out people appreciate it, and you're in a position to do something about it. Does that make sense? So we don't need to be afraid. We got to go all in our serving of others. The final point that I want to leave you with is that champions overcome adversity. These are things that happen you can't control. This is the stuff the bumper stickers have on it. You know, stuff happens. There are things that happen to people you can't even make sense of. And you know what? It may not work 100% the way you want it to here. Injury is always at the door. Issues always present themselves. Adversity is at the door all the time, seeking to take your dream away from you. Gentlemen, the only way that you can overcome adversity is through purpose. You must have a bigger cause than that which would keep you from it. Adversity is going to come. And the way we overcome adversity is that word we've been using all along. What's that P word we always talk about? Passio. When adversity comes, and it will, you have to realize that the only way we can get through it is by accepting passio. You know, I don't know why God allows things to happen bad. I don't know why all that. That's above my pay grade. But all I know is whenever you're trying to do something great, whenever you're trying to do something for others that's great, you're going to encounter adversity. And the only way to overcome that is by willing to accept a certain amount of suffering and pain as a result of that. It's passio. And the same way we overcome weakness is the same way we're going to do this. I love him. I'm going to keep doing it. I'm not afraid. I don't have any doubt. Adversity is about passio. It's the recognition that, hey, life sucks sometimes. So what do the SEALs say? Embrace the suck. You know what? We're just going to embrace it. We're going to give it a big hug and say, welcome to my life. Here we go. And you know what? People have things happen to them that suck. Now you can fear the suck, you can doubt it, you can struggle, you can have weak. No, we're going to embrace it. And you know what? That's the hardest thing you'll ever have to do. It is so hard. So how can I help my Passio get better when I'm right in the moment, Coach, and I'm frustrated and adversity's presenting and things aren't working well? Well, guys, here's the thing. And this may happen to you while you're out here today. You got to talk to yourself more than listen to yourself. You know what I mean? When the weakness comes, the doubt comes, the fear comes, and you're in adversity, you got to talk to yourself, not listen to yourself. Come on now, Jared, I got to get this done. Let's go, bud. You got to talk to Jared. You got to talk to your own heart about what this is about. You may have to do it out loud. Why? Because your brain ain't listening. All you hear is all the negative voices. You got to tell it to shut up and go to work. How do we get back to it? Well, it's the same thing we said. Remember why I do it. Because I love those I'm serving. How far am I going to go today? 10 yards. How do I get out of this problem? I'm going to find somebody to serve. I'm going to serve. And when it gets really bad, I'm going to talk to myself. I may have to get alone to do it, but I'm going to have a chat with myself. Because I will not allow adversity to keep me from my purpose. Guys, it's as simple as those things. Overcome your weakness through understanding why you do what you do and who you do it for. The love of those people. Overcoming doubt through chain-moving action. Overcoming fear through serving. And overcoming adversity through the willingness to accept Passio as a part of life. For those that don't remember or haven't heard what that word means, Passio is the Latin root word of the word passion. It actually means sufferings of Christ. It's a religious connotation. It's the idea that he suffered because he loved his followers. That's where the initial word passion came from. But if you look at the Latin root of the word passion, it means to suffer. But more importantly, it means to know why I suffer, why I engage in battle, why I engage in the fight, why I compete. And it's bigger than me, do you understand? And it's bigger than you. There's something bigger going on here today. No matter what happens the next 2 days, every one of you is going to go out of here and impact an entire community because of the skill sets and the gift you've been given as a player and as a man. So I'm not worried about how this ends up. I'm excited for the opportunity, but my bigger picture is there's 150 young men right now that are going all over this country and they're going to change lives. That's why you were born. And football is the opportunity, the vehicle that's going to take you through that first opportunity to do it. And then you're going to do it in your marriages, in your colleges, wherever you go. That's how this works. And we're going to help you. That's how we do this. And boys, when this is all said and done, we're going to stand together and we're going to smile. Why? Because we're champions. We may not see a scoreboard that says you're a champion. You may not see it in the paper on ESPN. But we'll know in our hearts. We did what others were not willing to do. We were willing to overcome our weakness and our fear and our doubt. And we looked adversity in the eye and said, hey, we're men of Passio. We're good. And we didn't allow the voices in our head to talk us out of being great. We talked to them and said, no. We have a purpose, and it's bigger than me. That's the kind of men you are. That's the kind of men you will be. So regardless of what happens here, I ain't worried about it. Because I got 150 world changers right here. That's who you were born to be. So today, have fun, enjoy yourself, be excited. Lives are going to be changed. Not just yours, your families, and the rest, but coming out of this weekend, starting from this point forward, we're going back to where we came from with the mindset that I'm not alone. You got coaches, you got men around you that have come here to the Duel, and we're all going to go back as the NFA family.